Okay, so today we're talking about Eric Spofford. If you guys don't know who he is, he's hung out with Wes Watson, and we're going to get into it right now. As always, we get to the point, the cliff notes, to save you time. And I want to give a shout out to Spencer Cornelia. His channel does a great job covering this whole thing. We're going to get into it right now.
I built the Northeast's largest provider of addiction treatment services.
Oh, really?
I took my pain and turned it into a purpose, built a business out of it. You know, that business was doing about $55 million a year top line revenue, and I eventually sold it for $115 million, and that was a couple years ago.
In March 2022, New Hampshire Public Radio released an article titled "He Built New Hampshire's Largest Addiction Treatment Network. Now he faces accusations of misconduct." Instead of paying out hush money like many deviants before him, Eric decided to fight back, which has led to an undesirable outcome for him.
I've talked to dozens and dozens and dozens of people at this point, and many of them have shared with me allegations of whether it's sexual misconduct that they'd experienced or a toxic workplace. I even report, and as I had a news story and also later in the podcast, that multiple people quit Granite Recovery Centers because they heard an allegation that involved Eric Spofford, that involved sexual misconduct, where he sexually assaulted a woman who worked for him, who used to be a client at the recovery center at Granite Recovery Center. So
Eric knows the industry well, as he once was a heroin addict who needed help. After recovery, he began a business in developing the centers for others. Her biggest source seems to be this lady named Elizabeth, who in 2017 walked out of a treatment facility hoping for a new chapter in life, recovering from her opioid addiction. Just one day after leaving treatment, she said she received unsolicited, explicit Snapchat messages, including a photo of a penis and invitations to meet for sex.
This is where things heat up and things go in a bad direction for him, with all his own doing.
You know, we both came from the street, we both sold drugs, we both lived that life. We can give you all those stories.
But in interviews with nearly 50 former clients, current and past employees, and others in New Hampshire's recovery community, a dark portrait emerges of Spofford as a polarizing figure who preyed on vulnerable people and wielded his power to avoid consequences. Major credit to Lauren Chulgian for her excellent reporting on this story. As you can imagine, the alpha male bro didn't want this article out, so he threatened her.
Eric, through a lawyer, denied all of these allegations of misconduct, and they also threatened to sue us if we pursued the story. We, of course, did publish the story, and like you just said, a few months later, Eric Spofford did sue me, 2 of my colleagues, and 3 of my named sources for defamation. So it's been a lot.
So this is where it really gets bad. Take a listen to this.
The story came out in March of 2022, and then in April, I got a call from my parents that their house had been vandalized. I called my boss to tell him about it. Turns out his house had been vandalized, and then a third home that I used to live in Hanover, New Hampshire, was also vandalized. All very similar, C words spray painted in red on the door. In my parents' case, on their garage, a brick or rock thrown at the house. And at my parents' house, it broke the window. And my husband checks our security cameras, and sure enough, a brick had been thrown through my living room window, and the words "just the beginning" were spray painted, ! Under the broken window.
Still no mention of Eric Spofford in this article, so are we sure it's about Eric? Well, just the other day, CBS News posted this article titled "Feds Arrest New Hampshire CEO for Allegedly Devising Conspiracy to Stalk, Intimidate Journalists." Eric Spofford was indicted on 1 count of conspiracy to commit stalking through interstate travel and using a facility of interstate commerce, 1 count of stalking using a facility of interstate commerce, and 2 counts of stalking through interstate travel. Spofford was arrested this afternoon and will appear in federal court in Boston at 3:30 p.m. on June 2, 2025.
So initially, the guys that were arrested for the vandalism didn't look like it was going to be connected to Eric until recently. As you saw, he was just arrested for conspiracy and all that goes along with this whole thing. Birds of a feather, hanging out with Wes Watson. Is he going down the same path? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.